Hello everyone, and welcome to the reminder post for the Christmas Craft Creations blog challenge. This is the challenge for June, and it is Christmas trees. I got this beautiful layering pine set from Altenew, and I wanted to make a Christmas landscape scene with these pine trees. And I filmed everything, but I don't know what happened to the stamping part of the films. I was cleaning out my video folder and I think I must have erased it. So I'm sorry I didn't capture that footage for you. As you can see, this piece is also die cut, and I just used one of the Trinity Slimline die sets to do this. So in a second we will pick up where the stamping left off, but I just want to point out that this first card has colored lights, and at the very end of the video you will see a card with just silver and gold lights. Also on this card I'll be inking the edges with regular distress ink in tumbled glass, but on the card you will see at the end I inked it with distress oxide inks, and I put snow in the background. So a little bit of difference. So let's get into it and see how the rest of this card is made. Okay, I'm going to start by creating my snowbank, and I'm going to use a BV20 to do this. And you can see there I crossed over my lines, and I didn't mean to that, but so I'm just going to take a colorless blender and go over that here in a minute. Then I went over that with, I think it was B000 and B0000. So 3 zeros and 4 zeros there to go over that. And there's where I erased my little problem area there. And then I'm going to heavily go, after I get all this blended out, and I do go over the trees to give it a little bit of a shadow underneath the trees and everything. And then I will heavily go over that later with a clear sparkle overlay. I don't think I do that just yet. I think I go and ink the top edges. And the sentiment. I am going to use the Happy Holidays sentiment from this stamp set. And I was trying to figure out if I wanted to just put it directly on the card or if I wanted to put it on a banner. And it fits perfectly between those two trees. So I am just going to stamp that between those two trees. I'm going to get... oh, no, I did do the inking first. And then I will stamp it. I do end up stamping it with Versamark ink or Simon Says stamp ink, embossing ink. They both work beautifully for doing heat embossing. And I use some gold embossing powder from Ranger. It is a super fine detail, so it does that little bitty word happy just great. Here you see me just using a blender brush and going around those edges with the tumble glass and just getting a hint of sky in there. I think when I do the second card with the oxides, I get more sky in there, and I really think I like that look better. It helps those trees to really pop forward. Okay, so that's all dry and everything. I did use my heat tool to make sure it was dry, and then I just tested it with a little bit of embossing powder just to double check it was dry. And there was a little bit of sticking, so I'm going over it with my heat tool once again, and I do both sides to minimize warping. And we'll go over the whole thing with my anti-static bag. Test it again. Everything falls off, so we're good to go this time. And I'll do one more swipe with that anti-static bag, and here I'm getting out my stamp platform. It is a little bit bigger than the Misty, so it handles these Slimline cards really well. And so now I'm just inking it up with my Simon Says stamp embossing ink, and I do it a couple of times. And then I'll pour on the embossing powder, and we'll heat set that until it's smooth and melted. Just look at it in the light, make sure there's no more grainy look. There was a couple of little flakes there I had to brush away with just my dry brush. I keep that little brush with my embossing tools there, and so it is only used for this. And just heat up your heat tool really good, and then take it to the paper to minimize warping. I do have a lot of warping on this because I've used a lot of heat on it, but we will straighten that all out. and using a solid sheet of foam, I'm going to pop this up, and so that'll straighten it all out. Okay, this little stamp set by Art Impressions, I think it's called Penguin Cheer. There is a little string of lights in there, and so we are going to use that little string of lights, and we are going to heat emboss that on our trees. And so here I just got a piece of paper just so I can go off the edge and not have to worry about it so much. And I will do that for all 3 trees. Okay, now that I have my lights all heat embossed on my trees with some green embossing powder, so you know all your Christmas lights have the green cord, so I did green. So I just wanted to do colored lights, but my trees are green, so you know they wouldn't really show up. So I'm going over all of them with a white Jelly Roll pen, and you have to let this dry really, really good before you try to go over it with something else. I did try and rush it a little bit, and I had a little bit of difficulties, but in all, in the end, it came out fine. But this is a trick to be able to not have to worry about those little areas and just use your white Jelly Roll pen as your base color. Okay, this next step I am cutting out a large piece of this is my card base, and I'm attaching this piece of gold glitter stock to my card base, and then I will be cutting out a piece of fun foam to fit behind the scallops. I don't want it to show under the scallop, so it's just like right at the dotted line, stitch line edge of the die. That's how big my piece of fun foam is, and I will glue it on with my Cosmic Shimmer glue, and I'll put a weight on that, and then once it is dry, then I will put glue on the back of the fun foam and then put it on the front of my card, and again I will weight that down until it's dry. And you'll get just a hint of that glitter cardstock around the edge, which I think is just really pretty for a holiday themed card. Okay, so here's where I'm coloring the lights. That red that I'm using is just a fine tip Sharpie, and that worked really good. And then I'm going to use, I think, some blues and yellows from my Sakura pens to color these all in. Yes, the blue and yellows from the Sakura. And so I'm just doing them in order back and forth across the tree until I get all these trees filled in. And the final step for this card to be put a little shimmer over each of the light bulbs, and then I will put a little dab of glossy accents over those. And don't forget, here in a second I will show you the pictures of the other card that I made, and then I'm also putting my shimmer on this snow, and I did that heavily. So tell me which card that you like in the comments below, and I will see you next month for the next installment of the Christmas Craft Creations Challenge blog. Thanks for watching.